Okay, like I mentioned, I wanted to start right on time here. So welcome to this webinar, and it is strictly focused on those folks that are using our older desktop-based software, which we did announce the retiring of the booking engine software as of December 1st. So with that, I will get started. If I can click on that, I apologize. So what I'm going to be covering here, I'm going to try to go through these slides pretty quickly, and I will kind of be showing the actual product live. So just bear with me. I just wanted to cover a few things that we can share afterwards too. So just want to cover why we're doing this, what's new / different, go through some of the live demo highlights, talk about next steps, and then if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to type those in that Q&A in Zoom. There should be a Q&A where you can type in questions. I'll answer that. But if anybody wants to actually speak, I can unmute people as well. So why are we doing this? Well, it's kind of a necessity. So many of you notice, especially if for those of you that have had the booking engine, we had a lot of failures with that this year. We have to keep kind of older, outdated technology just to sort of keep that old, outdated technology humming along. We had a lot of times, and to be honest, it was at some critical times during the weekends, Thursday, Friday evenings, required our team to try to, hop in the car and drive to the office and, do some work on the servers, anything else. So, and it's just old technology. So in technology terms, 20 years old, it's over 20 years old. That is really old. We do have some people losing data, so corrupt databases, and that can be caused by a variety of things. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know. And just sort of trying to keep up with that support. We basically have 2 people in our company that even know that product, what that product does and how to support it. No new employees are being trained on that product. So just wanted to recap some of the big differences here before I go into the live demo. Number 1 is obviously it's cloud-based. So you no longer are tied to any certain computer, any certain location, any device it'll work on, laptop, desktop, tablet, phone, operating system. Obviously, Windows, Mac, Chromebook, Android, iOS. It works on everything. So it has connections. So many of the companies we work with are listed on places like, booking.com or Expedia, or you're probably not listed on Google Hotels, but Google Hotels is a huge way to get direct bookings, and the cloud has that. So just wanted to highlight here some of the differences, because I didn't want to do any sort of like live demo on any person's live older booking engine, but I just wanted to recap kind of like some of the biggest differences in the booking engine. So this kind of is the old step 1 per se when people click on the booking engine. This is the newer version. Now, it doesn't have to look like this. You don't have to show the full availability calendar down there. You don't have to have a custom message on top. But in general, you can see it's just a more streamlined, updated look. This is a picture of the step 2 of the booking engine. So after they've done a search, now this particular one doesn't have little photos, but it would. Some people, if they did load photos, they were just really small, kind of on the upper left where they weren't great pictures. This is the new step 2. So after they've done the query, the ability to kind of truly showcase your units that are available, load in nice pictures, give them rate options if that's something you offer. So, and some of the biggest differences we're keeping this thing up to date. So we usually come up with 2 updates a month. Now, they're not all necessarily like new features, but we do put in new features. Usually once a month, we'll put in something new. whether that's something major or just a small tweak, but we're constantly, updating this thing, making improvements. So it is kind of, where things are headed. So with that, I'm going to end this slideshow. And again, for those of you that maybe join later, if you have any questions or anything you want me to make sure I kind of maybe cover, you can type those in the Q&A part of Zoom here, and I will cover those. But I'm going to end this slideshow, just kind of hop over into the software just to kind of showcase a few of the highlights. This isn't meant to be like a full-blown demo. I can certainly arrange one of those one-on-one, because then we can get really nitty-gritty and go into each specific thing here. But I did want to showcase the cloud. So number one thing I wanted to show is that we still have the occupancy map. So units downside, dates cross-top, reservations in the middle, color-coded initially by payment status. And then we do have custom colors, so you can choose kind of the different colors to mean whatever you want. So some other cool things here is you can put in some extra fields that you can show. So even without clicking, I can see obviously their name, number of nights, phone number, how many people are coming. I can then also see little extra notes if I wanted to see. I can see the, if anything is tagged as important, where the booking came from, whether that has a booking engine tag or anything. So that's kind of the overall look. One of the other big differences you'll notice here is we have the default rate for that particular unit and time period in each cell. So that rate indicates that's the kind of the default rate. And again, you can have multiple rates. So that isn't necessarily the rate that they choose. So you can shade and have indicators here on the unit. When you hover over those things, you get to see, especially this is handy for newer employees, maybe. So you can kind of see the unit and capacity, description, all of that stuff. So you can kind of see that at a glance as well. Has the room status indicator, clean, dirty indicators that you can change on the fly. It does have an optional wait list right here on the occupancy map. So I have it enabled, but you can disable that if you don't want to offer a wait list. You can kind of enable or disable that. You'll see if this means one person is on the wait list for any given day. Plus means there's nobody on there, but you can add them to the wait list right here. So there are customizations that you can do with this. You might think, so my payment settings are red, yellow, blue. Red is no payment, yellow is partial payment, blue is full payment. That is because I am colorblind. So typically it's red, yellow, green. I think that's the old version as well that did that. But there are some settings here. So if you'll notice here on my screen, I'm seeing roughly a little over 2 weeks at a time. I'm seeing, this many units down the side. If you click on the settings of this, there are some display settings that you can do. So one feature, if you book by room type, even if people call you, you can showcase your occupancy map just by room type. So I will kind of set that just to show people in case they have some larger properties, they do that. You can decide how many days you might show. So this is an indicator of like a 1-night reservation here. How wide do you want those columns? Same thing with how many units you might want to display. So obviously the more you shrink this down, the less information you're going to be able to see like on a 1-night reservation without clicking on it. But also show you how to see that information as well. So I'm going to just save that. I'm going to shrink this down too. And I'm going to just save that just to show you what that does. So basically it transforms. Now keep in mind, I did change that setting to book by room type. So now basically it will show the room type and how many of each of that type you have. You can expand that if you want, and then get down into the nitty-gritties of the actual rooms under that type and individually there. But then you can book a room type by just clicking and dragging the type and then it will auto assign, you know, kind of the first available room of that type here. So, and then you'll notice, I'm gonna just show by room again, because I did shrink that stuff down. So you'll see that now I can see more rooms and more dates because I've sort of, you know, shrunk those things down. Now, again, I kind of commented that now you don't see as much information, maybe without clicking on them. But when I click on these reservations, what's awesome is it stays right on this calendar, but now my reservation pops up over here on the right. So I can do everything right from here. I can do a check-in, check-out, I can add charges, make payments, I can move them. I can also click and drag to move, but in case they're moving like months or, you know, years, you can do that. Add a unit to this reservation quickly, you know, send them a letter, email, etc. So that's most of what I wanted to showcase on that. So again, if you have any questions for those latecomers, you can post those in there and I'll try to cover those at the end. But that's kind of what I wanted to showcase as far as the occupancy map goes. This is a new section for us. The old version did not have anything like this. Initially, when we spoke to people from the older desktop, they didn't feel like they'd use these. And then after we reach out and see how it's going, they love the dashboard. The dashboard really is designed to just give you an overview of what's happening today. So you're going to see any reservation that's touching today over here, meaning you might have people arriving today, you know, checked in and staying over, people leaving today. You do get to see that same kind of information there with payment status if it's tagged as important. But you can also click on these things and it's interactive. So when you click on this, you'll get to see, like, you know, charges, payments, balance, some key information about the guest or reservation. You can go through a check-in or check-out process. You can email or print any type of letter, correspondence, registration card, you know, add charges, make payments, etc. There is a feature here where you can, maybe you want to come in the morning and print out registration cards for all of your arrivals. They have this option here where you can click on this and say, you know, print something for all of my arrivals. And then it, you know, shows who's arriving. And then you can choose, oh, I want to print the registration card for these people. It generates the letters and then you can print that out and be done. So cool things like that. Top right here, we call it the shared notes. I tell people this is just for internal staff communication. Think of it like a Post-it note. Anything you might consider jotting down on a Post-it and putting on the monitor at the front desk or leaving a note at the front desk. You can type it in right here. You know, maybe you change the Wi-Fi password often, so you can, you know, put the new one in here, kind of talk about a promotion that's starting, etc. Below that is a task manager. This is like a to-do list. You can come in and create a task, put a due date on it. It orders it by the due date. You'll notice I have an overdue task, so this turned red. But when you complete these tasks, you can just mark them complete, and it's like a to-do list. So you're crossing things off that list. The recent reservations widget. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but these are just the most recently made reservations. Shows you, you know, when it was made. If you hover over that, it shows you down to the second when it was made, you know, who it's for, room, etc. It shows the source. Now, I should have made an online booking here, but it does show whether this came in from like your booking engine or Google Hotels or maybe booking.com. So it kind of tells you where those reservations are coming in from as well. The last few items here I'm going to show, you know, some people use these, other people don't, just depending upon your operations. So this version, you know, you can do packages and add-on items. You can label certain things as key items. And what this little widget does is it just kind of looks for the coming week and all those reservations that are coming. And if there's any key items attached to those. So it gives you a summary here. Hey, I'm going to need 3 dozen roses and 3 bottles of champagne. If I break it down by the daily details, it tells me exactly, you know, when I'm going to need things. And then I can even drill down to say, oh, Paul Bunyan has the romance package staying in room 104. So it has the gift certificate feature. The old version did as well. So this version does have the ability to sell gift certificates from your website. These are just the most recently purchased gift certificates. And then this email delivery history is just a way, I will talk about this a little later, but this thing has scheduled emails, so you can have the system automatically be communicating with your guests before, during, and after your stay. So I'll kind of touch on that because that is a huge feature that most people are doing all manually right now. Or maybe they're not doing it because to try to separately email each reservation 3 days before their arrival and the night before they're leaving and then the day after they leave, that's a big task. This can automate all of that stuff. So that's kind of the dashboard. I don't see any questions so far, so I'm going to kind of keep rolling. These few sections I'll just sort of skim. We can get into it if you want on a one-on-one demo. This is your database of people. You can search for an individual or do more of a query in your database. This reservation section is, as you might imagine, it's the listing of all your reservations. So there are some kind of quick drop down here to say, like, show me just my current and future reservations, or reservations this week or next week, etc. The invoices section. The invoices section, depending upon the property, you may or may not even use this section. Every reservation has an invoice built right within it, or multiple invoices. We allow that as well. But this version, sometimes people have add-on items they might sell to people maybe that aren't even staying with them. So maybe you have a gift shop and a local stops by to purchase something. We actually have a retail sale option here where you can quickly just kind of post a sale, and it doesn't have to be attached to a reservation or a person. It's just kind of like a mini POS. It's not designed to be like some full-blown POS system, but it works quite well for those folks that are using it. The gift certificate section, again, if you do gift certificates, this would sort of list your certificates. You can add certificates in here. Report, I'm not going to cover all of the reports. I'll just kind of talk about some features of the reports. The number one thing I want to talk about here is the little diamond logo here. I'm going to expand the reports, by the way. So I'm going to expand all the reports so you can see all the reporting. This little diamond logo indicates that you can subscribe to that report. So for example, this booking pace report is an important report that people use, or at least should be using. This kind of gives you an indication of where you're sitting this year versus where you were sitting that same day last year. And then once you run it, you can subscribe to that and say, hey, I want this report emailed to me the first of every month for the current year. Like, where am I sitting the current year? And I want it at 7 a.m. and I want it in an Excel file, because maybe you want to even manipulate it even further. So then you'd never have to run this report again. It'll just come right into your email inbox on the first of every month at 7 a.m. in an Excel file that you can do. So pretty much all of our revenue type reporting has it. A lot of reservation reports has it. The ledger type reports. So again, most of the key ones. We have the concept of revenue versus sales. I apologize. I do believe the old version had that too. So sales is like when you make the sales. Revenue is when that reservation takes place, you get to account it for revenue. And of course, the tax reporting, fees, gift certificates reports. So I do have a question that maybe I will address right now. So I have a question for our guest history notes are the most important items we have in the system. From the calendar screen, you have shown us the guest reservation sits to the right of it. How many to access the private notes and notes field? Good question. So I'm going to go to that scenario that I think you're talking about. So you want to, I'm imagining using the actual drill down into that guest. So when you click on this reservation, you'll notice on the very bottom, I apologize, my Zoom, I'm going to move this. You probably can't even see it. I don't know if you can see my Zoom menu. My Zoom menu was in the way. So when I scroll down there, I can just hit view this person. So I've clicked on this and now I can click view person And now I have the notes. So that would be all of your notes. Again, this is not like one that I've converted. So all of your notes would be right here. So technically it was one click after I've clicked the reservation. So technically two, if you want to like click on the reservation, click view person. So hopefully that helps. And that does bring up something I did not cover is we do a conversion from your database. So we take reservations for the past 5 years, and then obviously current and future, but we take all of your guests. So all contacts with their, name, address, phone, notes, all of those things get converted, whether they only stayed here once 10 years ago or, not. If you do need more than that, we can talk about it. We do that for free. If you do need more than that, we can see how much more you're looking for, and there might be a small charge for that, just because of the the effort required on that. So, but good question. I hope that answers it. If not, ping me again. The configuration section. I wanted to show this to showcase a few things here. Some additions that we've made. Number one is yield management. So yield management is the ability to have the system automatically increase, decrease rates depending upon supply and demand. So you can set up rules. I think I have a few rules set up here, but you can have, more shorter term rules. That's usually to decrease your rates. So sometimes like, hey, if I'm within a week and I'm below a certain threshold, let's discount. The opposite of that is like, hey, if I'm more than 30 days out, so I'll just add a new one. So like if I'm like between 30 and 180 days out, so if I'm a month and 6 months, my occupancy is already at whatever threshold you want, let's say 60%. Let's actually increase it. Now this is giving me a warning because I have existing rules, so it's sort of telling me that I'm overlapping a little bit with an existing rule. But when you set these up, it obviously would not. But then you can increase it by a fixed amount, like $10 a night, or a percentage increase or decrease that as well. So that's a new function. The letters and templates, not that this is like a new function, but the way that the system sends emails is new. So that old version, I believe, had to integrate with an outside email program. I believe it was Outlook Desktop, which that was another issue we came up with this year. So many people transitioning like Office 365, and there was some incompatibility issues, whatnot. But here's where you can come in, design that letter, and it is like a word processor. So these are all the different letter codes, which means these are all the dynamic data that's going to insert depending upon who you're sending it for. So again, you can see just a ton of available codes for those. You can put in custom fields in this, and even the custom fields can be used as letter codes as well. The biggest thing here is when I preview this as an email, I'll showcase the template, but you can create a really nice looking template. We can help you with that, but you can have it a full HTML email that goes out that looks high quality, professional. Not having to sort of try to manipulate and do that via Outlook with a merged letter or anything like that. So and then the scheduled emails is one of the big things I like to talk about as well. So this is your communication with your guests that you can set up. It's like a set it and forget it. So two very common ones are like a pre-arrival letter that goes out however many days before. So some people send a couple out. Some people might send it like 7 days and then another one like the day before to just say, hey, we're looking forward to your stay next week, versus, hey, you're coming tomorrow, we're super excited. So you can have as many scheduled letters here as you want. Another one, during their stay that some people do is like the morning, like at 5 a.m. the morning after they arrive. So they kind of wake up to this email. You can have like, how was your night? Hope you enjoyed your first night with us. Let us know if you have any issues. The other common one during the stay is like a checkout procedures email that gets sent like the evening before, maybe 7 p.m. the night before they leave. We're sad to see it going tomorrow, but just as a recap, checkout time is 11 a.m. and, you know, whatever you wanted to kind of showcase there. And then, of course, the letter that goes out after they come, you know, hopefully you're asking for reviews, thanking them for their stay, trying to get them to rebook. This thing does have the ability to do like discounts with promo codes. So you could even offer everybody like a VIP promo code if they book and use that code. They can save money or whatever. So those are just kind of some of the big time, you know, yield management, scheduled emails, report subscriptions. Those are kind of some of the big time saving ones. And really maybe one of the biggest time savings, as I talked about it in the slides, is this integration. So if you are currently listed on an OTA, with that old version, you pretty much have to manually keep that thing up to date. And that can be super time consuming. You open yourself up to possible double bookings, or maybe you're not giving the inventory you really want to give them just because it would be too painful to have to try to manage. So that would be another thing. But the integrations here, Google Hotels, if you do not know about Google Hotels, you should, and you should be on it. That is kind of an optional feature that we have. So we have 3 levels of our software depending upon your needs and wants. So we have the basic version of our software of this cloud that does not even include online reservations. So yes, there are a decent amount of people using our older software that do not have the online booking engine for whatever reason. That would kind of move into our basic version of the software. Our standard version is basically the apples to apples with what you're using now. The software with online bookings, gift certificates, etc. And then our pro version has the integrations with Google Hotels, Booking.com. And then if you happen to be on like Airbnb and Vrbo and Expedia and everything else, we work with a channel manager to manage all of those things. So, okay, so I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint. So far, there's no other questions come in, just to sort of talk about, you know, the final steps. Sorry, it went back to the very beginning. So I'm going to flip through. We sort of spoke about the booking engine. If people want, you can maybe tell me to go do like a live bookings, but in general, I'm going to kind of recap this. We do see an increase in bookings if you have the older booking engine versus the new booking engine. We have seen an increase when people convert to the cloud. It's not fake news, it actually happens. And really, it does increase efficiency. So things like the scheduled emails is like, that's our #1 piece of feedback. I keep hounding on that because pretty much everybody that converts is like, oh my God, I was trying to communicate with my guests. But so anyways, that, and again, if you work with any of the OTAs, outside connections, it is a huge increase in efficiency. So next steps. Some of you may have already done this. Maybe you want to do this, or maybe you don't need to do this. It's up to you. So you could schedule a one-on-one demo with me. You can do that from our website or just email me afterwards. Whatever you want to do there, we can get a personalized demo. We have the option to activate a free trial. And yes, we can convert some of your data into a free trial, so you can actually see it, how it transitions over. And then, of course, you know, getting you a quote and proposal and what it's going to cost. And then obviously, if you want to move forward, sign paperwork and get trained. So we have the same support staff that you are calling. Actually, I think if you're calling for support with that old version, you're probably only talking to Kyle. With the cloud version, we also have Nick in there. So again, even though she started a few years ago, we did not train her on that old system because it was old even back then. So I do have a new question here that I'm going to just answer before I sort of close this up. Actually, it just kind of blends into my Q&A time. So got another question. We are expecting to receive new hardware in the next month. Realize this will be a cloud-based. Is there any advantage to waiting for our new hardware before making this conversion? The answer to that is tricky, but I'm going to say possibly. So really, again, this isn't necessarily, I mean, what might make a difference is like RAM. So if you're just kind of beefing up your computer's memory, that'll just make everything kind of run faster. But really, if you've got Chrome and a web browser, I mean, this thing runs really well on like a Chromebook, right? Like a Chromebook doesn't have any sort of like big hard drives or anything like that. So there's not a big use case for like super expensive equipment. You can get by really cheap if you're getting new equipment. And again, now you have the option of getting Macs. Some people are really, they want Macs and Apples and they want to use that, but they can't with that old version. Well, in this version, they can. So, but good question. I know I've probably missed other questions. So since you're not asking them, maybe I didn't miss anything on this call, but if you do come up with anything else, let us know. As a reminder, December 1st. So December 1st is when we will be shutting down that booking engine. So if anybody is on here and is using that old booking engine, December 1st, if they have not moved off of our platform, either whether to the cloud or some other piece of software, you will no longer be able to take online reservations from your website. So I just wanted to recap that and just stress that we didn't want to wait until the end of the year because of the holidays and just we didn't want it to be some rush. So December 1st was the time period we chose. So got another question here. How much downtime should we budget for conversion day? So yeah, so what happens is you get all signed up and then you transition over to kind of our implementations team. They will reach out and schedule training, a specific date and time for training. The afternoon before that date is when they would reach out to get your database. So technically it doesn't have to be any downtime. So because you can stay up and running even after you give us that database, even with online bookings and stuff. You just have to remember the moment you give us the backup of your database, anything that happens from that point until, I think I usually try to do trainings at 11 a.m. Mountain time. So anytime between that afternoon and that 11 a.m. Mountain time, that the day you go live, like that stuff is going to have to be re-entered into the cloud because that information was not given to us. But good question on that one. So this is a generic email for our sales. I put that on there because, in case I'm super busy, we've got multiple people that receive this. This is our general phone number. I'd be more than happy to share my direct number as well, an email address, but you can get to me with those numbers as well. By the way, I should have introduced myself. I'm Jeff Hebrink, sales director here at rezStream. I've been with rezStream for 8.5 years now, 8 and a quarter, 8 1/3, one of those things, but over 8 years. So been with the company a long time. And again, even 8 years ago, I don't know much about that old software. They didn't really train me on any of that. So yeah, I hope this helps. And again, we hope that you continue growing with us at rezStream and moving to the cloud. But I do want to, just make sure you're aware, like if you for some reason don't want our cloud or not finding the right fit, remember that December 1st. I'd hate for anybody, like even if you're not going to go with us, we'll help you transition if we need to help you transition. But we just don't want you to get stuck in a position where you're not able to take, online reservations or anything. So I appreciate your time and hope you found it valuable. And I did record this So I believe we'll be sending that out for all the registration people, and it'll be on our website to view later. I do have this slide deck if anybody wants that as well. So thanks again. I don't see any more questions here, so appreciate your time, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.